Hello and welcome to the Beginner's Tatting video series. Today I've decided I'm going to show you how to use stabilizer threads in your block tatting. I know in the last video I told you I was going to do a tat along on a recent pattern that we did in the online classes. There is a problem with that tat along. Right now the pattern is not ready to be put out there, so until it's ready I cannot do the tat along. Okay, there's several reasons behind that, but the main one is I don't like to do tat alongs until I have the pattern in hand, okay, and a place for you to download it. Okay, there's no sense in me having the pattern and you not. All right, so until the pattern is available for public download, I'm not going to do the tat along. It will come out. I've already contacted Cynthia on it, and as soon as she gets it ready and uploaded where it needs to go so that I can direct you to it, then we will have the tat along. Okay, but until then I wanted to show you this technique with the stabilizer threads, because I've noticed that since the video went up, I mean, people are like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to use this technique. I can't wait to try this technique. Well, I mean, it's great to make a bunch of squares, okay? Don't get me wrong, but you want to versatile. You want to be very versatile with your tatting. So today I'm going to show you how to make the triangle shapes, widen it at one end, and come in. It'll be like a triangle. And the way you do that is using stabilizer threads. And a lot of people don't know what stabilizer threads are. Well, the thing of it is, it holds everything in place. It does like it's supposed to. It's a stabilizer. It stabilizes your piece, keeps the shape. That's all it does. All right? So, given that, let's get on with it. Now, here is the piece that we block tatted in the last video. Now what I have done is I went ahead and started my next row. Well, my next row has the one turning double stitch, our little picot, it's in there, okay, and 4 double stitches, because this row is going to have, coming back, 6 stitches. We're stepping up 1 stitch. And every time you step up 1, 2, or 3 stitches, you widen a piece. It's no different than crochet and knitting and so forth. When you add to it, it makes it bigger. Okay? That's the gist of it. So here we go. We have our double stitches on. We've still got 2 more to put on. However, this is where the stabilizer thread's going to go. Now what you want to do is cut you a piece of thread that is about 7 inches long. You want it the same dimension as the thread you're working with. Okay, so if you're using size 10 thread to tat with, you want a size 10 stabilizer. Okay, you can use the same color as your tatting thread. You can use a different color as your tatting thread, as it's going to be used inside along with the core thread. It's just a stabilizer. You're not going to see it. Once it's all done, you snip your ends, you're not going to see it. Okay? So, don't worry about it. Myself, I prefer to use the same color. That way, if something didn't tighten up right or something, it doesn't show. But for today, so you can see what we're doing, I'm using a white size 10 Aunt Lydia's. Okay? Crochet cotton number 10. And the size 10 Aunt Lydia's in the pink. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. Now what you want to do is you want to pull your tails down to where they're even. Okay, bring you up a loop. Okay, now that you've got your stabilizer thread ready, you lay that stabilizer thread on the back side of where you're working at. Okay, not on the front, on the back. Now you see all this tail? If you don't want a lot of tail hanging out there, fine, pull it up. Alright? It makes it easier to work with the short of the tails. Alright? So, here we go. We're going to put our next double stitch on. Now this is where getting this in can be tedious. Needle tatters, this part is tough for you because you're working with a needle and all this thread. Shuttle tatters, they got a hook on the end and they just pop them in and out. Okay, so here's what you want to do. You want to pull that down. Okay, and it takes time. That's why you only use it at the ends in the segment. Alright, now we've got our first half of that double stitch in, and it's over our tails. Okay, now we want to put in the second half. Now if you watch what you're doing, you'll be able to bring it all in together, slide that over, and pull it down. Okay, and you've got your first stitch in. Now you've got to put in one more. Okay, so we're going to slide that up, push those tails through, slide it over, slide it over, slide it over. Once you get it into place, pull it tight. Do the second half of that stitch. Alright, you see what I'm doing here? Slide it over into place and pull it tight. Now, here's the fun part. You've got to pull this through without grabbing all that thread because it's only supposed to be under the last 2 stitches of your row. So, what I do, move that stabilizer thread out of my way and grab those stitches to pull my needle through. Okay, now that my needle is pulled through, I flip it over there, keeping all this stuff in the back. Okay, keep it all in the back. Tighten that up. You can adjust. Okay, adjust everything before you lock it down. If this thread, like this one has done, has come to the front, work it around, it'll move to the back. Okay, it will move. You just got to play with it a little. Once you get it around there, tighten that chain back up. There we go. Now we're going to lay it over and we're going to join in that little picot at the other end. See our little picot? So we're going to grab our crochet hook, go in that picot, stretch it out, come up from the bottom, grab our thread, and this is where you're ready to pull your hair out because all them threads, but we got it. Alright, once you pull out your loop, get your kink out, your twist, you're going to take your tatting needle, come from the bottom up, and we're doing that lock join. So you want to pull everything snug so that it lays like it's supposed to. Okay, pull it snug, don't let nothing twist, pull it tight. Now we're going to knot off, tie off, whatever you want to call it. So we take them 2 tails, you see them? They're in the back. Up, thread come off the needle. Like I said, for needle tatters, it's not easy putting in these stabilizers. But it's worth it. In the end results, it's worth it. Alright. Now, you're going to lay those stabilizer tails behind, out of your way. Pull your thread up, knot off. Once you get it knotted, rotate your work. I tend to do both at the same time. Now we're ready to move on to the second part of this. You see the tail to this is back here. What we want to do is pull this forward just a little. Okay? Lay our needle right there. put the first half of our double stitch on, grab that stabilizer thread and pull it through the loop. Alright, fiddle with it, fiddle with it, fiddle with it until you can get it down to where it's all the way down to where that loop is supposed to go on the first half of that double stitch. Okay, now you may find you'll get a little gap here. Work it out. Like I said, work it out. You don't want the gap. Okay, once you get that in place, you go ahead and do the second part of that double stitch. Pull your tails through, bring it down right along beside, and pull it tight. Okay, we've got one double stitch. Here comes the picot, the little baby picot. If you go down too far, you can always pull back on it. Alright, run those tails from front to back. What you're doing is weaving these tails in. Okay, it's all you're doing is weaving them in. Leave your picot. Okay, do the second half of that double stitch. Pull your tails through. You see what I'm doing here? Now we've got our picot in, got our 2 double stitches, gonna snug it up. Now we're done with that. Pull it out of your way. Lay it over your work and pull it out of your way. Here we go. Finish it up. We're gonna put 4 more or 5 more double stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now these are in. Now we pull this thread through. See what I'm doing? Pull it through, and we're ready to move over here to the other side. So adjust, adjust, adjust. I cannot stress that enough. Bring it over to our little baby picot. Our little baby picot over here. And she's right there. Okay, that's our baby picot right there. So we're going to get our little crochet hook, go down, and we're going to capture that thread. And you always want to capture the thread closest to you. Okay, pull it down. And if you find that your tail thread is not long enough, you can always run your needle up through that loop like that. Not a problem. Because eventually you do start running out of thread. Okay, now we want everything to line up so that this block tatting comes out. Alright, we're in. We got her. Okay, now we've got this stabilizer thread in. Now we can put in one on this side, just like you do on this side, and you follow it up. Okay, after your little lock join. I had a brain fart there for a second. It just went blank. Y'all ever do that? Be talking and then boom, it's gone. I think that's old age, isn't it? I don't call it Alzheimer's, I call it old timers. Okay, now after you've got your tie off done, that's what I'm trying to say, then you can start your row back. Now when you come back, you're going to pick up this on the last 2 stitches. Okay, these tails will come in on the last 2 stitches. And what this is going to do is it's going to weave up the side. And you follow the pattern. Most patterns will have 2 rows of 6, 2 rows of 7, 2 rows of 8. And they're gradually stepping out. Okay? But as you can see, the only place you can see that stabilizer is where it's the thread's coming through on the bottom. But once you pull it to the back like it's supposed to be, you don't see that stabilizer thread. And you can see how tight it is there. Okay? I hope that helps you understand how to use the stabilizer thread on a needle. Okay? It's real easy. And, you know, you use them on both sides. If you're starting on this side, okay, you did this side. This row here, your last 2 stitches would be the stabilizer thread, and it would follow through to the first 2 stitches on the next row. And then you'd pick up these tails for the last 2 stitches on this row, this next row, and the first 2 stitches of the next row. It's only 2 stitches. Once you run out of stabilizer thread and your triangle is shaped, snip your ends, it's done. There's no tying it in or nothing. It's already woven in. It's not going nowhere. So I hope that helps you understand the stabilizer threads. So until next time, and we'll get the tat-along out, I hope this helped. Happy tatting, have a great day, and thank you for watching.